Hello there, I'm James. Just a quick reminder that this video is not made for kids. It is made only for older Thomas fans and adults. Hope you enjoy the fucking video. Henry hadn't been feeling well. His small firebox didn't make enough heat, so he was often short of steam. He struggled valiantly on, but his trains were usually late. This made the other engines cross, but none more so than Thomas. One morning, Thomas wasn't at the junction. Henry was pleased with himself for being on time, but as the minutes ticked past, he grew impatient. Finally, Thomas puffed in. Snorted Henry. So if I'm late, I'm a lazybones, but you can just traipse in whenever you please? Clearly, smirked Thomas. You've never run a branch line. Mr. Kindly's bus never came, so we stopped to fetch him from his cottage. I take care of my passengers, he finished proudly. Clearly, you've never run on the main line, mocked Henry. We can't just stop anywhere we please. We have timetables to keep to. Oh yes, smiled Thomas sweetly. And you always keep to time, don't you, Henry? Thomas chortled away, leaving Henry in a cloud of steam. I'll show him keeping to time, he snorted. Henry worked very hard throughout the day. His lack of steam proved bothersome, but he pushed on. He arrived at the stations on time, and was very green in the face. The other engines were speechless. Even the coaches were worried. What could be wrong? What could be wrong? They tittered anxiously. On time, he huffed. When it came time for his last train of the afternoon, Henry's foul mood had caught up with him. You've hardly any steam at all, cursed the fireman as he prodded the coal in the firebox. Nothing I try is working. You'll be lucky to turn another wheel. Henry did turn another wheel, albeit slowly. He crawled out of the station and along the main line. Other engines laughed as they passed, but Henry didn't bother with them. Something else had caught his eye. Stop! He wheezed. You can't catch your breath here, you silly engine, scolded the driver. You'll have to wait until the next station. This'll teach you to... No! Interrupted Henry. Look! Near the level crossing was Algie the bus. Smoke drifted from his engine and the passengers crowded angrily around him. A familiar-looking man was waving a red sweater to flag Henry down. That's Mr. Kindly, he thought, stopping close to the crossing. Thank goodness you're here, Henry, he smiled. We need to catch Thomas's train at the junction, and ailing Algie has broken down. It's bad enough that he missed my cottage altogether this morning. It's not my fault, Algie flounced. It must be, something in the petrol. The passengers groaned. We'll make sure you catch your train, sir, smiled Henry. The passengers boarded the coaches. Henry was thankful for the stop. It allows him to raise steam. At last, they set off for the junction. Oh yes, never mind me, groaned Algie. I'll be fine. Soon, Henry steamed triumphantly into the junction. A fuming Thomas was waiting for him. 15 minutes late, he grumbled. You're lucky that silly Algie is late too, otherwise I'd have left your passengers behind. Would you have now? Thomas jumped. Mr. Kindly had heard everything. Henry rescued us from algae, but I doubt he'd be allowed down the branch line if you left us high and dry. And I hope you never do, or the Fat Controller will know about it. Yes, sir, blushed Thomas. I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Kindly boarded Annie without another word. Thomas said nothing. He just looked shamefully at his buffers. I don't always keep to time, chuckled Henry, but I always take care of my passengers. I didn't need a branch line to teach me that. Thomas whispered a quiet apology and scampered away from the junction. Henry is still late from time to time. He can't help feeling unwell, but always does his best to pull his trains. Thomas knows this now, and doesn't tease him anymore, even when Mr. Kindly isn't around.